Hey folks, getting to the point. This is a game that I played not long ago. For people who doesn't know, I'm a master. You could see the NM tag. But anyways, this is a fun game. I was playing. I played G3, which is funny. It could transpose. Anytime your opponent plays this kind of stuff, you want to play like towards the center. But it could transpose to an English. As a matter of fact, he played C5. I could play like C4. But we went to bishop g2. Could have played c4 again, knight c6. When it comes to bullet chess, openings is not really necessary. Like you could play even 1h4 and you may still win games. I don't recommend it, but the point is, bullet chess is all about like intuition, tactics, speed. Bobby, tactics first, and speed and intuition, right? Those three things that really needed to get to like 2700, right? I mean, I'm maybe averaging 26 2700 bullet in bullet chess, but it's mostly comes down to those three things. But knight f3, I don't recommend you play h4 though. You want to play something more practical. So e5, castles, knight d2, knight g6. I actually felt like knight e7 doesn't really I couldn't understand it very well. Maybe knight f6 if bishop g5 is just h6. If there's any kind of trade, there's a bishop pair and looks like black is okay. So he played knight g6, a bit too surprising here. So e4, d4. So in this kind of structure, usually black is better. And I played this move, though, which is kind of strange. It kind of like raises an eyebrow. What is this move is all about? You're not really attacking e5. It's defended twice. The issue here is maybe b5. And he actually did that. And I saw it when I played knight c4. So I was like, you never, when it comes to like piece placement is like you don't want to place your piece the same square twice. I was already on d2, and I played knight c4. So when he plays b5, if I were to go back to d2, this is a waste of time. Waste of time for white. So that black would have like additional move to make. Like he could move the bishop maybe, and it would be like black is more better because he gained a move for no reason. And I knew this ahead of time, but I told myself I'm not going backwards. I'm going in front. And I sacked. This is funny, though, the way I'm doing this. The reason I did this kind of sack is because I'm looking at this long range here. I don't know if it's going to do anything. It's more like bluffing time. He took and I took. So typically here, black is just simply should be winning. Not just better, but should be winning. But the point is, I'm trying to gain some momentum, like f4. And he played here, and I played here. So the idea is very simple, like you're attacking. Now he could, if he push here, play bishop e7, right? If he developed that way, this is hanging. So he has to do a little bit of defense. Then I went over to queen h5. This is more... So the point of this move, though, is e6. You cannot take because there's a pin, right? So I was, trying to open up lines as much as possible, but he played g6. But I knew this kind of like open up, it could potentially weaken up some squares, but it's not enough for white. But I went back. So the idea of this move back is to play e6, right? Or, even f5 to try to open up lines. He played bishop e7, and then I played f5. So the point is, I'm just bluffing. Maybe here, not as serious bluff. Maybe it's a bluff in a way, but the bluffing was knight takes e5. Right? But f5 is more opening up lines. Should white open up lines, then we have different dynamic. He took, and I'm just not sure if this take is necessary. It's kind of not sure what black could do here. Maybe there's a lot of ways you could handle this position, but this move, I don't think it's the best move because this move is really coming e6. Again, it's all about like opening up lines. Now, if you were to take, which he did, that leads me to go back to queen h5. Now, I was already on queen h5. You could argue that, did you waste time? No, I did not waste time. Because queen h5 here, the king is on check. He lost access to castling, right? Because king f8. Now, I think supposedly the next move is here. But I think the much better move is supposedly here, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe this is a more precise way of checking. But look at this. Rook takes f5. If knight takes c5 is not enough, we just sack the rook. This sack of a rook is pretty interesting, but I actually felt like here, and he might still be lost. I think he may have to block this way, and I still have this momentum. So it's all about like opening up lines, because you could see that the bishop's now really strong in this kind of position. So he actually somehow shocked me by this. Like, I couldn't understand why he would take this. There's a reason why I took on f5. So could you pause the video here, find the best move? There's a specific sequence here that you do and you win the game. If you mess up this sequence, maybe black is winning the game. I mean, remember, I sacked now a knight, and now I'm sacking an entire rook. So if you pause the video, you found this tactic, great. If you haven't found it, then, you may have to do a little bit more puzzles and to try to get to a master level. So have you paused the video and found it? That's great. So the move is actually here. You want to be more, when you're dealing with, anytime you're dealing with forcing sequence, right? Like, tactic. There's always checks sometimes. I would not say always, most of the time there are checks that you could use. Think about it this way. Check would stop your opponent turn because he has to react to the check, right? Whether he defend against it, like he moved the king, he blocks the check, like somehow blocks the check, but he lose a turn, right? By the same time, when you do a check, the side that attacking, right, which is white, I'm making an additional move, right? And that additional move seems to be helping the side that he's attacking. So that's the way I like to think about it this way. So anytime you're solving a tactic, it may involve some kind of a check, because that kind of like black has to react towards the check, And here, for example, a bishop here, he just plays here, and then he doesn't have a way out because the queen is also like covering this diagonal, and the bishop is covering this diagonal, so that leaves the king to go here. Now, the problem here, should you find, I mean, I don't think you should pause the video, but you should find the best move here by far, which is this move, right? Bishop d5, that's checkmate against a 2800 player. And that's one way to explain it. This is a 2800 rated player. He's not like 1800, not 2000, not 2400. 28, right? Even if he's not playing his best, he might still lose like 200 points. Maybe he's still averaging 26, 25. The point of this video, the point of this kind of stuff when I share it, is to prove that tactics is really key, even among the stronger players. It's still relevant, right? I mean, I was shocked by this. Like, if you go back to the game, I mean, this is not really like a movie that you would do. Like, you take on e5 and you should be lost against somebody who's 2800. But to prove my point, tactics is really key all across, right? And should you find this kind of sequence you find made, then yes, tactics is still very relevant in 1.0, and you do have to study tactics. If your tactics is good, this is what happens, right? If it's not good, you would never find this kind of sequence. You're not really looking at rook takes f5 and this kind of ideas. So you always want to combine, checks when you do puzzles. In order to find this kind of combination, you're just looking at patterns, and this is probably the reason why you do need to do more like puzzles. When I see this kind of stuff is based on puzzles that I have done in the past. And once you do a lot of puzzles over that course of like maybe weeks, months, even maybe a couple of years, you get, you see this kind of stuff during the games, right? So it's not like, I was working this combination based on like half an hour of thinking. This is 1 minute, right? This is like only 1 minute. How could I find this kind of combination? It's more like a pattern, like you see 2 or 3 combination based on something that you saw before, right? So in order to do this kind of puzzles, again, doing a lot of in order to do this kind of tactics, you do have to do a lot of puzzles. And once you do a lot of puzzles, more repetition. I always like to think about it like parrot. People may have like a pet as a parrot, like parrot, talks. When you buy like a parrot, the parrot doesn't talk. You do have to have a lot of training. train with a parrot for years. Then they could say hello and how are you and all this kind of stuff. It takes years, not simply, I don't think it's months, right? Maybe 1 or 2 years working with a parrot every single day. So think about it this way. It's more like a repetition. Parrot seems to like know when there's a repetition. Tactics is I don't want to say it's equivalent. Like it should be equivalent in a way, right? The more you do tactics, the more you do repetition, right? The same puzzle keep repeating, the same pattern keeps repeating. You're eventually going to see it during your games and able to solve this kind of stuff. So hopefully this helps. This video appealing to you guys, should be fun, and stay tuned for more videos into future, folks. Thank you, folks. See you by the next one.